Welcome to the Black Men Unfiltered Network, where every conversation gets a second look. This, the gray area. Welcome to the gray area, where the truth cuts louder and the lines keep blurring. Paul and Peter, bringing every point of view. If it's black, if it's white, we're talking everything in between tonight. Welcome to the gray area. Paul brings facts, Peter brings perspective. Different opinions, one objective. Breaking down every topic, nothing off limits. Culture, politics, relationships, we're in it. Tech keeps changing, everybody's adjusting. Everybody talking, but who's asking questions? Nobody else wants on the table. We keep it honest, no labels, no sides, no scripts. Just conversations that make you think. Welcome to the gray area, where every answer raises another question. Paul and Peter, pushing the conversation higher. Everything the world won't touch, we're talking about it. Light skin, dark skin, old school, new trends, family, faith, money, dating, all that.
Do me a favor, Paul. I like being using last comment.
I'm almost afraid to.
Yeah, go faster, please, Paul.
My gosh. Good evening, everybody.
Intro. I like that new intro.
Yes, I see both of us. We're dancing in the background. We're kind of getting our dance on. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Gray Area here on the Black Man Unfiltered Network. I'm Mr. Bennett, joined by my partner, as always, the Ghost of Sparta, a.k.a. Peter, a.k.a. Panayotis. Certainly welcome to the show on the Black Man Unfiltered Network, simulcasting on the Sparta HQ Network. Certainly, if you would really help us out, certainly show some love on both. Make sure you hit the like button. Certainly on the Black Man Unfiltered Network, as well as on the Sparta HQ Network. Also consider becoming subscribers to both networks. Each platform has different show content, but this is certainly a platform that we share together for the Gray Area. And certainly we're glad that you guys are spending your Sunday nights with us here. And tonight, in particular, this is our call-in show. So again, for people who, you've been listening to our content, watching our content over several weeks, and once a month we have a call-in show. And so, this is an opportunity for if you have some comments or questions or whatever, some feedback on a prior show that we did. And we've been talking about everything from AI data centers to, their relationships, whatever the topic is. I kind of get lost in some of the topics too. We talk about here, but so if you guys got some feedback, certainly you're certainly welcome to join the show. The only conditions are, again, camera must be on, except for certain people. There's certain people who we know personally. And so we give them sort of a pass if they need to keep the cameras off because we know them in person, actually. And so, but, for anyone else, camera must be on. And as always, certainly keep it respectful in chats. And, with that, we can certainly have a good time. But this is a conversational show. We're not experts in anything. We're just here just having conversation, good, honest conversation, respectful conversation in this place. And the only thing we ask is that you certainly keep that same energy, certainly in our chats. You're certainly welcome to your opinions. We don't judge opinions here, but certainly just keep it respectful, everybody. And, it's really all we ask for. But good to be here tonight. But Yasu, my brother, what is going on?
Nothing. I want to add to your opening monologue.
Sure.
People always, want to talk, their free opinions on, in the chats. So I'm going to tell them right now, bring it. You guys want to talk shit? Here's your chance. Let's go. I'm good now.
Yeah. And I get it. Sometimes it's like in the heat of the moment, like we've had so many guys be like, "Oh, can I join? Drop the link because I got something to say." And like I said, if we did that, a lot of our shows, they'd be well over 2 hours. We definitely try to keep a strict timeline, as it is Sunday night. Bless you. That we do have a strict timeline, and we want to make sure that people, got work in the morning and whatnot. So we really want to be respectful and keep it going. But yeah, Pete, just got some feedback. Can you just bump up your volume just a tad more? That'd be great. Make it loud. I think that's better. Craig, again, appreciate our guy Craig in the back. Shirley, who's monitoring things all the way, our brother from the UK. And so certainly we appreciate his input. Always behind the scene. He says, "I'm always up for some fun." Pause. Okay, but it's always good to have him with us. We're going to be dropping the link. Certainly, if you wanted to be a part of the conversation, we'll drop that link shortly. But just want to kind of get into a little opening stuff here. Sort of fill the space as we talk about it. But again, anything you can either talk about what we're going to be talking about tonight, or any prior topic, or whatever's on your mind. Certainly, again, we're going to be dropping that link shortly. But I wanted to kind of follow up, and these are things just came random. I think it really came to me around Thursday, Friday. We had a show certainly on Spartan HQ Network. Again, we certainly encourage you to go over there and certainly check out that content. But really, we were talking about the concept of what is the American dream, and or is the American dream dead? And certainly, different people had different opinions on it, and it doesn't have to be an American dream. It could be, certainly we get again Craig from UK. What is the British dream? What is the Greek dream, or whatever? What do people really want out of life? Or what is people consider being successful, in particular here in the United States. And I started to realize that, I think for a lot of, depending on the generation, I think that definition has really changed over time. And certainly, certainly for young people, Gen Zers, and now you got the Gen Alphas and whatnot, certainly what a Gen X dream was, which for a lot of us was, we were like the first to go to college, in our families or whatnot, or, leaving like a blue collar job to a more, white collar, things like that, owning a home, cars. And, but for younger people, it may be different. And I know one of the areas I was thinking about, because again, I talk to my daughters about it often, is like owning a car. And whether or not, like when I remember, growing up when we were 16, we couldn't wait to get our licenses. So as soon as we got our permits at 16, we got 17, we got our driver's license. And we were just jazzed up to get a car. Now, back then, it really didn't matter what car you had. You know what I'm saying? It was like you could have a jalopy, a hoopty. Like my dad bought if you remember the movie Wayne's World, anybody remember Wayne's World? We had a sky blue 1975 AMC Pacer that he had basically through my college years. I would use that car to go back and forth from school, help people move. Because one thing about the car, it looked very small on the outside, but it was very spacious on the inside. And you could move a lot of things. Certainly in that, in that little car. As ugly as it was, people, I would drive by people and they would yell out, "Wayne's World, Wayne's World, Wayne's World." But that was it. But it didn't cut. The fact that you had a car, in my time, that was enough. I mean, whether it was a hoopty, you put 4 or 5 guys in there, whatever, or people in there, and you go to the beach or whatever, as long as you had wheels to get around, nobody was complaining about, oh, you didn't have like the high-end car, you didn't have a Lexus, or you didn't have a Nissan Maximo or a Jetta or something like that back then. Nobody really cared. But I think you certainly got to a point where people were thinking about, what type of car you had. I think you had this material things like, ooh, you got that car. I would never be caught dead in that car. But it didn't matter. But now I don't know if for kids or for young people today, is it really a thing? Or young people, 21, 22 years old, just running out the door looking to dump a ton of money into a car. So what's your initial view on that?
I'm gonna cut you off very fast, Paul.
Yeah,
So
go for it.
obviously, my lady has two 18-year-olds, and I call him like they're my kids, and we talked about this in private and publicly. So my son, he's looking to get his new car. His current car is nothing wrong with it. He need a little wrench work, and I told him, listen, we can do most of his work because I have a mechanic background. We can fix this. But for some reason, he's so gun-ho. I want a new car. I don't want this. It's a piece of shit. And me and my lady had this conversation today. There's nothing really wrong. It's a little cosmetic work that needs to get fixed.
Mm-hmm.
But cosmetic it's not going to fail an inspection. It's not going to hurt the vehicle in the long run. So it needs tires soon because, he drives over. He literally drove 2 hours away for the weekend, visit his cousin, and then he came back. Then he drove 2 hours to Hershey and back. So that's miles you're going to put on it, obviously. So we're looking at over maybe 300 miles in a weekend. So you're putting some miles on it. So that's wear and tear on the vehicle. So it's a Ford. Ford are very reliable cars. It depends who you talk to, but my personal opinion, they're reliable cars.
Hmm.
So every car he wants is A, too expensive, and B, when he sees a car is good in his price range, it's a piece of shit. I'll be honest with you. It's like, don't get that car because your car is better than that car right now.
Right.
And I think most young men and young women don't understand the value of the dollar like we used to do. Like, we were excited to just have a vehicle. That's all I cared about. I remember my first car was $500. That's what I paid
Mm.
for it. It was outside of Harlem, New York, and it was a Mustang. And it was a project car for me, meaning I will, because I was going to go to mechanic school. I was working in a mechanic shop as an apprentice. Didn't get paid anything. I just needed the experience. So my boss said to me, "Listen, there'll be a perfect project car for you to learn." So we gutted the whole car and we built it from the ground up. The only thing I didn't do in it was the bodywork and the interior, meaning like the seats and all that stuff, because that's above mechanic. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we did a great job overall with it. I was happy with it. My dad built a goddamn engine on it, and college kid a college kid with a blown engine, bad combination. And this is better than I would do. You couldn't afford to fix it. So that Pacific engine, it was a unique model that year. It was a GT 500.
Right.
Um, and I called everywhere, and I ended up calling Ford, and I asked Ford, "Hey, can you guide me in the right way? I'm looking for this piston. I need 3 pistons." So I didn't need to do a full rebuild of the engine. I just needed to do just the parts I needed to fix. It was going to be fine. And because my dad put blue pistons the size of golf balls this big in it.
Right.
Because I had a supercharger. My mistake is it was supercharger. You have to literally sit there and let the RPMs drop before you turn the engine on. That's why they have a timer usually on them. Didn't think I needed that. Kicking myself in the ass now for that, obviously, years later. So he goes to me, starts laughing, and goes, I'm gonna give you Ford Shelby. What like that's the only place you can find them. When I tell you I almost had a heart attack when I found out how much
Right. Right.
I had to get rid of it. I got top dollar for it because it's a good shape the car was. I put so I was working it. I have
Right.
found a collector, a guy who was a collector. He says, "I'll pay you whatever you want. I don't care. You know, I can fix the engine. I'm not worried about that. I want that car." And I just got lucky.
No, lost Peter. Lost Peter. Come on back through. I'll attach you back on. But yeah, certainly. Again, I guess both Peter and I, we kind of go back to a time where,
Sorry about that.
again, you would get a fix up. You weren't trying to go and spend prime money on a car. You got a jalopy. Again, that Pacer that I had was like $400. The car I actually bought outright. My sister had a car. It was this little. I think it was like a small Chevy, little red Chevy that I might have paid her maybe $1,000 for at best. And that was a little car that got me around to and from. It was a little zippy car. I mean, but I wasn't, trying to get, I wasn't worried so much at that time about trying to get something that was so, just having a nice ride. I didn't really get my first ride until I was over 25. And at that time, I got a 94 Nissan Maxima, and I owned actually 3 Maximas. Certainly in succession, I thought that was kind of a nice kind of mid-tier car. But I've never owned a luxury car. And that's just never been, like I said, a big focus of mine. I was thinking about maybe getting a Tesla a couple of years ago. But outside of that, it hasn't been a priority. But that's just me. I'm not saying I'm not against,
No,
getting a car that you want.
They're decent cars. People don't realize Tesla's isn't the only car that you can buy is electric. There are other cars. The thing with Teslas, after you put a lot of miles on them, they start acting up. That's why you see a lot of used ones on the market versus
Right.
new ones.
Right.
So like our friend CQ, he saw at the time, I'm talking about a few years back now, 4 or 5 years ago.
Mhm.
Mercedes was the not because it's Mercedes. He found for the money he's gonna pay, that got the best miles for the car, the bells and whistles he wanted. He wanted
Yeah.
it, but he was gonna be like $1,200 to $1,500 a month on payment. Like I'm not paying that shit, bro. It's
Yeah.
way too much money. And I
Right.
agree with him. And this is one of those things like, damn if you do, damn if you don't.
Right, right. Well, even like I said, for young people, you have to start weighing the cost. And I think my daughters, they're kind of in. I think they're kind of saving for car ownership. But I'm starting to ask the question now on whether it's worth it or not. In fact, I put together a little slide deck that I want to kind of go over. Kind of sharing, I guess, the pros and cons and where it is now. Again, obviously, a lot of this is going to depend on where you live, and I think a lot of it's really going to depend on your age when it comes to this. And
Before you get
it's
into
weird.
that, Paul,
Yeah.
so I want to go also a little backstory on my ownership of cars.
Mhm.
So after the GT 100, me and my mother shared a '05 Hyundai Tucson. Not
Mhm.
Tucson, sorry, Santa Fe. If you remember, they look like grandma
Yeah, yeah. I
cars.
have one now. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're reliable. They're
Mhm.
beasts. I used to call the car the beast for a reason. They will never leave you stranded on the road. They have never let me stranded on the road. It
Mhm.
took me what I needed to. As miles got up, it got age. It starts breaking down after a while. But it never left me stranded. It always took me from point A to point B. My first dealer car was a used one. It was a 13 Hyundai Elantra. I didn't know that was a lemon because it was used from a what was it called, from a lease. So drove that car for a few years. Then I ended up getting a Hyundai Tucson. Same model as yours, if you remember me telling you.
Right.
I think that was I don't remember what year that was now. But I had that for a while. I was about to pay it off. If you remember a few years ago when I got in that car accident, the deer,
Right.
the car was done at that point. And
Right.
I have the one I have now, and I love this car now. Like you've seen the car. Here's my thing with luxury cars. I think they're overpriced,
Mhm.
completely overpriced. Like Lincolns. What's the difference between Lincolns and Ford, bro?
Yeah, man. A lot of these cars they operate, but even some of the luxury cars, I mean, a lot of them operate off of a standard powertrain. You know what I mean?
For
So
Lincoln and Ford, the only thing you're paying difference is really the price. You can get it was it the Z or X series? I can't remember the Lincoln,
mhm.
and you can buy the Explorer for less the money and get the same bells and whistles. You're
Right.
buying the name.
Right.
Same thing I have for BMWs and Mercedes. You buying their name. There are other German cars that you can pay less money for and still get the same bells and whistles.
Right. Right.
So you're on
Yeah.
Lexus, same concept.
Mhm.
You're not saving money. You're just throwing money out the window.
Yeah. Yeah. But even if you take it out of the luxury market, which is again going to be in a slide deck here, and again, there's going to be some variables here.
Mhm.
But if you want to talk about the market versus, actually, I need to add it back to staging, and there we go. So again, car versus ride share, and I was just kind of just doing some of the numbers, and again, this may differ based on the state that you're in. So again, you're talking about rideshare car ownership, $800 to $1,200 a month, versus a rideshare that might be $300 to $1,100. Again, a lot of it's going to be on usage in terms of how much you use it, and again, also again where you live. Certainly there's a difference. Obviously, with cars, you got the car payment, obviously. In a new car today, I mean, you're talking, easily $700-800 a month. And we're not even talking luxury car. You're talking well over $1,000 a month. For that, again, in New Jersey, anywhere in the populated area, you're going to be paying, extremely high car insurance, gas versus charging, depending on your car. I think certainly we talked about last week with certainly growing energy costs. You're going to be dealing with those. So even if you do get an electric car, your electric bill is still going to go up. And now, especially with the shortages, we talked about AI data centers, and the need for energy, energy prices going up. Again, maintenance and tires, parking. Again, depending on where you commute, if you work in a city, how much you're going to pay for parking on a monthly basis. So again, these costs can go up, and even with the insurance one, again, a lot of it's going to depend on your age. I mean, if you're under 25 in New Jersey, you're going to be paying a lot more than $300 a month in insurance. I mean, it's
Your insurance in your state is ridiculous.
yeah. So but again, we're the most densely populated state. So I understand the reason why. In fact, some landlords we had when I was back in high school, they had all their cars registered in PA. They owned a home in the Poconos, and they had all the cars registered to that address in the Poconos, but they lived in New Jersey like 75-80% of the time. And so that's how they were able to save on insurance because they got the PA versus the New Jersey insurance. Otherwise, it would have been a lot more. But when it comes to rideshare, again, it depends on how often. Again, a lot of people are telecommuting now or working hybrid, going in only 2 or 3 days a week. So you start to factor that in, depending on your your situation. Even as a full timer, you're going in on a regular basis. Yeah, $1,000 to $1,200 a month. But again, do keep in mind with this, again, no responsibilities. Right, you don't have the the burden if you get into an accident or something like that. I mean, you're not responsible for it. You don't have to deal with the headache. So for some people, this might be a good trade off, even if they have to pay a couple $100 more than they would over owning a car. I know a lot of younger people are saying, why do I need to be in a hurry to get a car? If I can do, a ride share or just if someone has a car, you go to my daughter. She saw, in fact, we're going on Tuesday. She went to the Bruno Mars concert at MetLife yesterday. We're going Tuesday. My wife and I, we're going ourselves Tuesday night. But yeah, I mean, her friend's sister drove him up there and gave him a ride back. My daughter gave her, some money for the ride. I mean, it wasn't it wasn't a big thing, but I can't imagine going up there paying tolls. Again, that's the thing. If you're in New Jersey, you're gonna pay tolls if you're on the turnpike or what have you. So again, these numbers here, and you don't have the burden of ownership, is attractive to a lot of younger people. If you just look at some of the monthly costs, again, even if it's a little bit more, it's not like a crazy amount more that you would be using over rideshare. And again, they're talking about on the high end when it comes to car ownership versus that. And then you got so again, where the math flips, that sweet spot is $800 a month. Again, it's going to depend on your location. So if you're going to spend more than $800 a month in rideshare, then that's where rideshare starts to lose its edge. But if you think about it, I mean, that's like $200 a month. Yeah.
So I did a similar thing for somebody before. How's the mic sound? I maxed that out completely now.
Okay, we'll work with it. It's fine here. Fine here.
So when I did an Uber I was between work for a while. So not for it was like 3 months I was out between jobs. So I just made sure I kept home busy to pay the bills. If you remember, there was like a couple summers ago. So funny story. It was two of my buddies were going to see Fluffy, and I'm actually going to see him in 2 weeks.
We'll see him in a couple weeks too. Yep. Yeah.
So they hit me up because, Pete, I know you're doing a little bit Uber on the side. Do you mind taking me and one of our buddies to the concert? And I'm like, yeah, I don't mind, but dude, I got charged. Like, that's fine. I don't care. I prefer you paying you cash than get an Uber and you can just pick me up afterwards.
Right.
It just happened to be the same time in Music Fest, so I was gonna walk around and check it out. Let's say something else happened. I can't say on camera.
Right.
Nothing bad. Actually, can I? Yeah, I can say this on camera actually. So it's a little funny story. So they got the seats. So I had to use the bathroom. So I asked the officer, I don't have tickets. Can I just use the bathroom? Because there were a lot of cops there. He goes, yeah, go ahead. As I go in there, use the bathroom, the guy who's making sure about seats are there, like, sir, are you looking for your seats? Like, yeah, you know what? You're right. I am looking for seats. You're there, the front one. There's the only empty one. Like, thanks, bud. Sat down, watched the whole concert. My buddy called me.
Oh, my gosh.
I go, look down. So wave, hey! He goes, you motherfucker. He goes to me. So it kind of worked out in my favor. But yeah, I made $500 that night, cash for that.
Wow. Yeah.
So it depends what you're doing Uber. I realize that if you like in more popular areas like yours, you can make some decent money, believe it or not.
Right. No doubt.
Catch-22 or Uber is tax season because they don't take anything in taxes. You got to pay all that back at the end of the year.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
what burns you the most.
Yeah, well, you definitely need some discipline. You definitely anything that you make, you need to set aside in a tax account or something like that, and like don't touch that money until you cover whatever that the average tax rate is going to be. So
right.
You got to have some discipline there. But everyone thinks, yeah, I make money through Uber. Yeah, I get to spend all the money. And like I said, you get that tax bill at the end of the year. And even if you are, accounting for, because obviously, because it's you treat it as a small business, you do get some tax write-offs and whatnot, depreciation and whatnot that they give you when you're doing your taxes, still you can have a significant tax bill if you're not careful with that. One of the things that, again, what the numbers don't capture, again, depreciation. So that's another thing. We talk about, I've only bought a new car once because and I remember even a financial planner told me, never buy a new car if you can help it, because the depreciation is the greatest. As soon as you drive it off the lot, you tell about up to 25% depreciation costs in the car. So you got that, then you got, again, surge in availability, again, depending on what's going on. Like I said, the Bruno concert, I imagine everybody was getting paid that night, just taking people to and from that. And obviously prices can certainly increase time and hassle. Again, no parking, no maintenance appointments, but you wait for every ride. And then, again, edge cases, again, grocery runs, road trips, late nights, kids, pets, etc. Again, that makes sense too. I mean, if you got a family, then it make more sense to get a car or van or whatever. That's we were also minivan people. I never scoffed at getting a minivan. I knew I was going to have kids, and my kids had friends, and so we'd put 8-9 kids in that car to get around in. So again, you get at the different stages of life where a car makes sense. No one's saying you can get away with not having a vehicle, but if you're under 25 years old and you're trying to, make a decision on whether or not you should buy a car or not, again, just based on these numbers here, it could make a difference in terms of, whether or not, you don't have to be in a hurry to move if you don't want to. For us, we couldn't wait to get cars. But I think for a lot of young people, they can push that off until they absolutely need to get one. And I think for a lot of them, they prefer it.
Paul, do me a quick favor, please. Could you drop the link in, because I got people hitting me up in
yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to put the link certainly for the show in the chat, and you guys can certainly again be part of the conversation. So I'm going to drop the link here, and again, all we ask is, again, camera must be on unless we know you. Again, certain people, link has been dropped, and so you can certainly use that and come up and be part of the conversation on this topic, on whether or not is it worth it to buy a car, or do you still believe in the American dream, or any other topic that we talk about. If you just want to be part of the conversation, link is in the chat. And again, this is our call-in show, so you can certainly come on board and be part of the part of the conversation.
Use versus new. I'm a little unique because I only have one vehicle, so I don't like the used market as much, because you don't know what you're buying sometimes. We can both agree on that, correct?
Yeah, for sure.
So me being on transportation, I go with new, and do understand what you're saying. You lose 20 to 50, or even 0.5%. Sometimes you lose off moving off the lot. It depends on the make and the model. So by that said, I go with new because at least I know what headaches I'm gonna have is gonna be my headaches.
Right.
That's what I usually do. So, and I do agree. If you're going dollar by dollar, but right now with the market after COVID, it's not much difference anymore when used versus
right.
It's very minor. So is it even worth buying used right now?
Gotcha. Yeah, well, we're gonna get certainly a view all the way from the UK. We got our guy in all the way from across the pond, so I don't know if you have Benny Hill music, but I got
intro.
Yes. Stop coming in too loud. But I got Craig all the way from UK. So a good friend of ours, a good friend of the show.
Paul. I always like to poke the old bear that's on the left-hand side of you.
What's good, sir? How you doing?
Goody gumdrops.
I'll take that as okay. I don't know we have that.
Awesome.
I don't know we have that same expression here, man. But good being part of the show. So yeah, you I saw in the chat you posted an interesting story. You got into a car accident at 13 years old. Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah, I got drunk at the age of 13 and drove my mum's car and decided to crash it into a tree.
Oh my gosh! Decided to, or just?
No, I decided to, just to piss my mum off because she's an idiot.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Well, everyone knows I despise my mother. So
okay. That's a whole other conversation.
Let's not get into
that's a whole other conversation right there.
But yeah.
But what are your thoughts on? So again, you live in sort of a relatively rural part of Britain. of Great Britain. So, or should I say England? I want to make sure I get my regional terms right. So
No,
you live in England, okay? So
yeah.
so for you, this may not be necessarily a question, but I would think that for people in the UK, is there like a huge rush in demand? Because I thought I remember hearing one time that it's not so easy to buy cars in the UK. But what's your view on that? Owning a car, or a lot of people using some sort of ride share to go around? Imagine if you're around London or something like that, or one of the major, or Manchester, one of the major metros.
I don't really know much about London. All I know is it's gone to crap. But anyway, that's another
Mm.
conversation.
Right.
But from what I gather, London's like rush hour traffic, and you
Mhm.
could sit there for hours in traffic. It's always constantly busy. So they decide to go on e-scooters, which they're now trying to ban. But no one really does ride share anymore.
Yeah.
But it's pretty easy to get a car. You can just go on Facebook and buy it, or Friday ad and all that sort of stuff.
Right. Right.
You can get it. You can get a car anywhere in the UK.
Right. Right.
But it's not.
And do you
cheap.
still see young people still like enthused? Because again, I don't know. It's like, to me, I think Peter was even talking about it earlier. In our generation or earlier, we took some pride in, like, we would get a car. It didn't have to be like a new car. It could be like a fixer up. It could be you put some work and maintenance into it. You put some your own customizations on it. And it didn't matter. It didn't have to be off the showroom floor kind of sticker price for the car. But I don't know if that opinion has changed over time. I just don't see a lot of young people who are such a kind of like that.
That's actually my old car.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean that's a again, a starter car. I know my daughters now, we still have a beater car. And again, a beater car was one that you could literally beat up. Because again, they were just learning how to drive. And even when I taught them how to drive, I taught all three of my daughters how to drive. They would, hit the curb, they would hit this, that, whatever. So it's like, I'm not going to go and spend a ton of money on a car that you're going to be putting dents and scuffing up. So yeah, we got them, we got them in I think an '08 Sentra, and they still use it. It costs us virtually nothing, but it still runs. It's got almost over 200,000 miles on it. And it's still enough for them to kind of get around and do what they need to do until they save up and get their own cars. But I don't know if the idea of them getting a fixer up is something that's like necessarily motivating to them these days. But in the UK, are there a lot of car enthusiasts, like guys who like to just get a car and fix it up and ride?
Well, my dad spent $9,000 on a Jaguar.
$9,000?
Yeah, there you go. That's it there.
Wow.
£9,000 is
£9,000
kind
on
of
it.
cheap for a Jag.
Hold on.
Yeah, very cheap. Well, a lot of them.
He spent £9,000 on it, and he spent 14 grand on literally having a car torn to pieces, right down to the chassis on it, and having the whole thing rebuilt. Welding on certain parts that he know for a fact that they get rotten and that sort of thing, have all those problems fixed. He's had the whole real engine stripped right down and rebuilt.
Mhm.
I've actually got a picture of the engine somewhere.
Yeah. But even still, so for $23,000 to own a Jaguar, I mean, that's still relatively cheap compared to now. It's interesting because I think Jaguar's out of business. I think I don't even think they are.
It's weird because Jags, my dad's Jag has multiple different companies put into it. There you go.
Yeah. So yeah,
If I do this, there you go. That's the engine that's in this car.
nice,
It's the 4.2 V8 supercharge.
very cool, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that's a work right there. That's that kind of enthusiasm. I don't know if a lot of younger people are participating in that sort of thing, or they have the patience for it today. I know there's a young car group in my area. I don't know if you ever see these guys, Pete. They have these Volkswagen Jettas, like a lot of VWs, and they soup them up. They put speakers in and they meet. Like I know in New Jersey they have these meetups where you'll go into a car lot and you will see hundreds of these cars, and they make their run. They'll run down to the shore and they'll do all their meetups in their Jettas and whatnot. But outside of that, again, I don't see a lot of young people who are so enthused about let me get a car
Over
and
here, they do
put the
souped
money
up
into
cars and all that sort of crap. But where they do it, they go down outside shopping centres, massive car parks, doing wheel spins and that sort of thing.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
they run around because we've got a one-way system around this entire village. You've seen
Mhm.
the area, Paul. You've
Right.
looked it up on your own map. There's a one-way system, and there's like a car parking area which is in the centre of it, and they do the same thing in there, and they actually sit at the traffic lights, literally just down the road here, and they just rev the crap out of their engines, and they just will spin it straight off. It's rather
Right.
annoying having to hear that at flaming
I
half past
usually
3 in the
see
morning.
those, Paul, closer to my girl's place in Easton. I
Mhm.
don't see it too much up here anymore, but it wasn't Volkswagen. It was like just a bunch of gearheads
Oh,
getting together and enjoying cars.
Right.
Um, and I try to tell all young men right now, I'm like, "Listen, I'm buying this car. I'm shooting up. Like, don't put
mhm.
the extra customization because you lose value so much. Every time you do something, you add a wing, you add a body kit, you put a new radio. Like only time you like a few things that might not hurt the vehicle as much is like remote starter the value. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That might increase the value a little bit.
Right.
But if you're adding like a turbo charger to it or a supercharger or NOS or anything like that, yeah, you're losing a lot of value on it.
Yeah,
Oh
or
yeah,
you got to sell it within that community then, because like I said, these groups that I'm talking about, like they I think it's pretty close knit. So if someone was looking to upgrade their car, they saw yours, they like what your customizations, they may want to buy it off you. You got to operate within that market, but taking it to a general marketplace, maybe not as maybe not as much. But yeah, I mean those are certainly risks that you have to take when certainly you're doing a car. And I think we might have lost Peter again, but hopefully he'll be back up in
I'm still there.
a second. But
Big up,
yeah, but I
man.
mean certainly for those in the chat, I mean what about you? If you got young people who might be interested in getting car, what kind of conversations are you guys having? So you got kids under 25 years old. Are they are they in a hurry to buy a car? Again, we all know what the cost, even the used car market, to your earlier point, Peter, there's really not a difference. I think the used car market went up. In fact, I remember for Teslas, because of the increasing price. I mean, it was getting to a point where like Teslas were like $60,000, $70,000. And so people were really starting to go to the to secondhand Tesla market, where it was like 30-40% cheaper to buy these cars. And I know like other markets that seem to be out of control is trucks. If you're a truck guy, you want an F-150 or one of these one of those Dodge Rams or whatever, they were getting up into the $70,000 and $80,000 range. And so a friend of mine, he just bought when he upgraded his F-150. And so he paid again a pretty penny for that. So again, secondhand market or certainly used market is still viable for a lot of people.
It's not
You have the risks like Peter you talked about, but
Mhm.
but again, does a person really want to invest that much in a depreciable asset? In fact, it's really not an asset because it depreciates in value. And again, if I can get away with just doing ride share until I'm really ready to do something, then why not do that?
Paul. Sorry,
Yep.
Pete. Yeah. People over here are not. The cars are cheap enough to buy. Doesn't really matter. You can get them for about $1,000 and shit. But they go for really cheap. But it's the insurance that really gets you. As a new driver, they quadruple your insurance as a normal
sure.
standard driver.
Sure.
People are opting to go for all types of shit. Yeah. Like be on their dad's insurance or a friend's insurance or whatever.
Mhm.
So, oh, babe. Anyway. But with other bits and pieces, it's just crazy. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
But I can't get insured. I don't have a license. Yeah, I still own a car. Yes, I don't have a license at all. But with me being I actually tried to go for a license many years ago, and I went out when I did the right thing, got my photo taken, got a provisional sorted, had someone sign it so that I can get the provisional, paid for the little card for the provisional. I can actually show you my provisional. It don't bother me because it's my old address. Well, same address, different flat. But literally, they because of the government stopping the money, I couldn't go for driving lessons because it was literally the day that we were meant to get paid. They completely stopped the money, and I couldn't do any of my driving lessons. And it was literally on the same day I was going to get paid for the driving lesson.
Right. So you don't. So do you know how to drive? I mean.
Yeah. I know how to drive.
Okay. All right.
I've got a heavy foot.
So, Paul, in Europe, I saw this a lot in Greece. A lot of guys will just buy vehicles. They're insured. Some of them are not insured, but they don't have a license. It's very common overseas to do that. Very common. I'm not sure about UK, but in Greece it was very common.
Right. Well, is there the level of, I guess, law enforcement? Like, do you have speed traps or just, highway patrol that is monitoring or pulling people over because of lack of licenses or whatever, or do they kind of let people pass? Like, what's the law enforcement or vehicle law enforcement look like over there?
They will ticket you, most likely. There's some cases it depends how bad you don't have your paperwork in line. If you don't have your paperwork in line, they will even tow your vehicle. They won't put you in jail, from my understanding. But they will definitely tow your vehicle. So it's one of those things like, damn if you do, damn if you don't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, so once again, ladies and gentlemen, today is our call-in show. So certainly if you want to be part of the conversation, the link's already been dropped in the chat. We got our guy Lunatic Librarian certainly in the building tonight. Appreciate you being here as always. And again, we're just having free form convo tonight. Certainly any thing you want to talk about, certainly you're free to certainly come up. Again, the link's been dropped. And again, we're just chatting. So I was just talking about the difference between, again, owning a car versus just using rideshare. If you're a young person under 25 years old and you live in a relatively populated metro or a suburb near a metro, do you really need to own a car prior to 25, given the cost of insurance, given the liability, the depreciation, and everything involved, unless you're going to go in and buy a cheaper car? Like, get a car that's a hoopty or like I said, get a beater car that you're going to be allowed to, make your mistakes in. And then when you're really ready, when you get more mature, then you get a car, So again, that's certainly the topic on, certainly on the table right now of guys who want to, be part of that. And we also got our guy, certainly from my New Jersey brother, my bald brother, my eyeglass brother. So again, my 7B brother certainly in the house tonight. so he's in the building tonight. But Sakbase, I'm telling what's going on.
My friend. What's going on, Craig? Hey, Peter.
Yeah. Oh, nice car in the back. Love the 80s reference. We all know you're a huge Knight Rider fan. So love the Knight Rider reference. Yeah, so that's definitely.
And Peter, you can't get copyright for this because I've had this picture for ages and I've gone on many, many channels and I've never complained about it once.
There you go.
They usually copyright your pictures, usually videos they do and music.
Oh no, people have had copyrighted pictures as well, so.
I've never heard of that.
Absolutely. What's going on with you, Anton? What's going on, sir?
Nothing much. I'm actually at work, and I was listening to you guys in the background. I figured I'd chime in real quick before I have to go back.
Yeah. So what's your thing, man? I mean, kids under 25 years old. You gonna encourage them to get a car, or just keep using rideshare until they get a little bit older? I mean, what's your take on that?
Honestly, I think the thing people have to do is explain to these kids that there's more than one way to get a car, and you don't have to get something that's brand new off the lot. One way, and that's the thing I think that's not being told to a lot of young people. Now, surprisingly, my nieces and nephews, all between the ages that live with me, my wife and I, between the ages of, I'm not even going to count the ones under 18. I got two of them are 19. Two of my nieces are 19. I have one niece that's 23, and my nephew is 25. And I have a couple other people. None of them have their license. And I find it hard to believe, like, how can you not have your license at this age? And to me, I feel like well, I don't have a car. It doesn't matter. It's a life skill. And people don't realize with certain jobs, if you have a valid driver's license, that gets your foot in the door.
Right.
At my old job, if
yeah.
you had a driver's license, it didn't matter if you didn't have a car or not. If you had a valid driver's license, that was your foot in the door to get an additional hours. And that's the thing that a lot of these young people don't realize. Now, there are two ways that people don't realize how you can get a car for a very good price. And I've explained this to a good number of young people. One way is go to a GSA auction. And a GSA auction is using all these government service automobiles that are used by different areas of the government, military recruiters, different agencies like the Justice Department, the Interior, so on and so forth. Most of those cars that they have are in service for no more than 5 years. And they're well maintained because you have to write down the mileage from the time you sign it out to the time you turn that vehicle back in. And you have to keep track of how much gas you put in, so on and so forth. I've signed for GSA several times. I've signed for a bus. I've signed for a van, a sedan, even tactical vehicles. And they keep track of everything. And a lot of those service vehicles are always in service for no more than 5 years. And they will maintain because of the fact that they know a significant number of people will use them. So go to a GSA auction. They're well maintained. A good number of them are low mileage. Most of the time, they're either Fords, Dodges, and Chevys. Now I'm starting to see Hyundais and Kias with GSA plates on them now. And that was like a really big surprise.
Right.
You know, so that's one place to go to look for a car for a good price. And here's another place that most people never would ever think to do. Oh wow! I see. Oh wow! Nice picture, Craig.
Who is that? I don't even recognize that guy in the
This lad right here.
I don't even recognize that.
This lad right here.
Look like a mug shot.
I was in 2019.
Because also another good option is when the impound cars auctions from police auctions. There, you can get some decent vehicles for a decent price.
Yeah, definitely. And here's one other place that most people, and I was about to get to that too, Peter. Here's another place most people never thought you would look where you could look. Get in contact with a lot of banks. Ask for a list of cars that they repossessed anytime within the last 6 to 18 months. A lot of these impound lots, a lot of these repo yards, and a few guys I was in the Army with are repo man. One guy I used to work with in my previous job also works as a repo man. Their lots are well beyond capacity. So if you go to any of these banks, ask for a list of cars that have been repossessed within the last 6 to 18 months, or maybe even as far back as 24 months, they'll give you the list and they'll take whatever. And my brother used to work for, and my wife's cousin also found out, we used to work for this one company that was partnered with one of the major banks. And they told me about the number of loans they have written off. Like 1 to 3% of the loans that they've seen come through their desk, charged off, written off. That's about it. Like you can get a car that was at around 40, 45,000. And if you get it from the bank, if you have anywhere between like say 20,000, they'll take it just to get it off their books.
Yeah.
Oh,
they don't care. They don't care that they're going to get the 45,000. If they get something, they'll take it. Like if you say, "Hey, I got 20,000 or I got 25,000," so they'll give you the title, the keys, and you're good to go. And people don't realize that because, and the thing people don't realize is sometimes that's the best way to get a car, because if you have a significant amount of money put to the side, they'll take it. And that's the best reason why it's important to sometimes buy a car straight up instead of going to a new and trying to buy a brand new car. You don't have to worry about a car note.
True. Yeah, very much so.
And the one thing I can always say, my car is paid for. So any car that I'm driving, I have the title at home.
Yep.
I have, like the current vehicle I'm driving, I pay roughly, I think, $5,000 for it. And I got the title at home.
Yeah. I would love to.
Do you do a lot of your own maintenance, or you still go to a mechanic?
Oh, I still go to a mechanic. I know someone, and that's the important thing. Find a mechanic that you can trust and that's reliable. And there's one mechanic that I have where I'm currently living. He's been very reliable for a very significant amount of time. And the only other person I remember that was a mechanic was a family friend of mine, but sadly he passed on some time ago.
Right.
And even though it was a little pricey with him, he was always honest. So that was one of the other people I always trusted. And sadly, he passed away a few years ago. So the person that I'm working with now, he's been very reliable for me and my wife. He's never been afraid to say anything like, "Hey, listen, it's not worth it." Okay. And I know a couple of spots too where, you know, you can get cars that are fairly new, cars that were repoed, cars that were demonstration cars too. People don't realize get a demonstration car as well from a dealership because those cars are also maintained. Right. Because that's what they maintain because they're test driving cars, and if you want a person to buy that particular model, that's the car they're going to let you drive. Same thing with a loaners, with courtesy and loaner cars that these dealerships have as well. Most of them are trying to get rid of those as well. So there are places to go where you can get a fairly new car for a very good price, where it's not going to break your budget, and a good portion of the time, if you paying cash, you don't have to worry about a car note, and that's the most important thing. And Paul, you know this because we both live here in New Jersey. Insurance here is ridiculous, especially in the county that I live in. And Paul knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
it's ridiculously high.
Hard over here, Anton. That's pretty hard over here, dude.
And
we can't do that.
Yeah, and the one thing I always tell a lot of young people: buy a car that's at least 5 years old. Because if you purchase a car that's at least 5 years old, you don't have to put full coverage on it. So you already save a significant amount of money on insurance right then and there.
Yeah, that is true.
So I think young people have to be willing to put in the time, do their research, and not be afraid to ask questions.
Right.
And there are lots, and there are reliable car lots out here where if you pay cash, no problem. I bought a 2004 Grand Cherokee a long time back. I think this is going back well over 10, 15 years ago. The guy was asking for $5,500. I gave him $5,000 cash. Drove it off the lot that same day. Went back 2 days later. Got the title.
And that's what you still have now.
Right.
And
no,
you still
I have a 2011. No, I had that. I had that for a period of time. I now have a 2011 Hyundai Santa Fe. That's paid off. I got my wife. I paid, I think, a little over $5,500 for that. For my wife, I bought her a 2018 Hyundai Elantra. I paid just over $5,000 for that. And guess what? No car note. I had the titles at home.
No, I can't.
Before that, my wife had.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the previous cars I had, 2009 Nissan Versa, that's paid off. 2008 Nissan Pathfinder, that's paid off. 2004 Grand Cherokee, bought that straight. People have to be willing to stop worrying about trying to get the car that's out now. And sometimes if you can wait a few years, because people don't realize the minute you drive that car off the lot, the value already goes down.
Yeah,
yeah.
There are a lot of
agree with what you're saying 100%, but most people don't have that cash to say I can drop $20K on a car. You know what I'm saying? So that when they're buying used cars with a let's call it a payment plan through a bank.
Mm-hmm.
My issue with that is, one, like I said earlier, you don't know what you're getting. Let's be honest here. Sometimes it's Russian roulette. Second thing is the price tag of a used car and a new car, there's not much difference anymore.
Well, I think the demand for the used cars went up because of the sticker shock on these new cars. Like I said, the truck, also, you try to get a pickup truck now, you're talking 70, 80K for a pickup. So again, that's going to obviously increase the demand for the used car. The only time I was really thinking about new car where it made sense, remember, I guess back in 2008 when we had the recession or the crash 2008.
Yeah.
All those car dealerships, they were giving 0%, New car.
Yep.
It's like no interest, like 0.0 or 0.9% on a new car, whereas like the used car was like
Yep.
7, 8, 9% for a used car. So they were like literally begging you, buy a new car. You don't have to pay interest on the car. There, I mean, that could be that could certainly be a conversation in that regard, because I know a lot of guys who were picking up, because a lot of us, we were all, again, we had our young families at that time, and everybody was getting minivans and things like that. So yeah, so we wanted like a Honda Odyssey or something like that, 0% financing, or a Sienna or something like that, Toyota Sienna. Yeah, that made sense back then. But now, again, to pay the interest on it is something. But to your point about kids aren't even getting licenses. Now, my only thing with the license, I don't mind the fact that if they're opting out of not driving, because again, we showed the stats earlier, the difference between the cost of owning a car, especially in New Jersey, especially if you're under 25 years old, those costs versus rideshare, it's not that far off, and you don't have the headache nor the responsibility of owning. I get that. If a young person under 25 wants to make that calculation to say, it's not worth it for me at this time. When I'm 25, when I'm more established or whatever, then I can think about it. But the only thing with the not getting the license, now can you get a real ID without a driver's license, or is that part of the?
I think you can.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think you can. No, you can't get a real ID without a license. I actually looked that up. You can get a real ID without it being a driver's license. But your best bet is get a driver's license with a real ID on it. Because eventually, if you're going to want to drive, not only you already put in a significant amount of money just to get ID with the real ID verification, but you're going to also still put in money just to get a driver's license with the same certification. So your best bet, just get the license.
Just get the license, yeah, because a lot of people prefer, yeah.
Here's the other factor that a lot of people are not talking about. So my daughter is a great example. She doesn't have a license, and her pushback is, why would I get a license if I don't have the vehicle? I need the vehicle first before I get my license. No, young lady.
No, you don't.
Other way around. And her mom having a long conversation said, no, you need to get your license first. And she is a little scared to drive. I'll give her that. I'm not gonna, completely destroy her because she's a little scared to drive. Versus my brother, he could not wait to get behind the wheel. He was like, picked it up 1, 2, 3. She's like nervous and like she's shaking on leave. But her perspective is like, hey, I need my car first. Then I get it doesn't work like that.
No, you get your license first.
And then
you get your license first.
How can I get a job if I don't have a car and a license? Like, then you get a job as you get your license and save up and get a car. And she goes the other way around. No, is that?
No.
Yeah.
And honestly, what a lot of young people are doing, and I think I mentioned it in one show sometime back, a lot of people are downloading this app called Zipcar, where there's a shared car where you can use a car for a short period of time. Like one of my neighbors in my neighborhood has at least, I think, 2 or 3 cars that they rent out through the app. And I've seen people.
So it's almost like how you would do with, I guess, renting out your home or whatever. You literally rent your car out to other people,
like Airbnb. Yeah, almost like an Airbnb or Venmo. Yeah, or Verbal. I mean, what it is that if they need a vehicle and they're only going to use it for whatever errands that they're going to run, they'll look for the guidelines, look at the vehicle particular parameters. If they found a vehicle in their area that fit those parameters, they'll do everything through the app. Once they get the information, they'll be told where they can pick up the vehicle at, and the vehicle is going to be locked up automatically. They're going to have my neighbors. They have those realtor locks on the door handles, and once you get the combination from them, then you can open it up and get the fob to start the car, to get in the car to use it.
Wow.
And you have
the limitations, like do you have to say ahead of time how long you need your car, where you're going, your mileage, like you?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
You have to keep track of. They keep track of all of that where the car stays well maintained, and at the same time, what it is that if you have that vehicle for a significant amount of time, you have to bring it back because you don't know if someone else is going to use that same vehicle at another time.
Right.
So that's basically what a lot of people I know are doing as well. And from what I've seen, they make a good amount of money doing that. I mean, if you're willing to do that, if you have a couple of cars that are fairly new and you don't mind, partnering with Zipcar or any other app that does the same feature, hey, more power to you. Sometimes people are doing that to also help make a little extra spare change on the side too.
My
If you
concern
want
with
to do
that
that, that's cool.
my concern is that is like the person who's driving my vehicle is being the shit out of it, or God forbid he gets in an accident and tolls my car. What then?
Yeah.
Well, that's why you get their information. That's why you need a license because because the information has to be verified before you even being allowed to get onto the app to use it. And plus, also to keep track of it to where if anything happens, if the person gets to an accident or does something to the vehicle and they don't make it known, not only that they can get kicked off the app, but they will be held accountable and held liable for any damages to the vehicle or any damages they may have done, like a hit and run accident.
Yeah. You would definitely
So
make
they
it
track-
so for a second or third vehicle. Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
So
Craig.
basically,
Go
you were saying, Craig?
Hey, he's waving his
Yeah, I
hands.
was
Go
going to
ahead.
say something.
Yeah.
There's a place in the UK called what's it called? What's it called? Hold on. Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Yeah.
Oh, we have
What
been
they
a part.
do
Yeah, we
I
have
don't
it here in
know
the
if it's
States too.
they've started having literally starting sticking vans around Hove, Brighton, and that sort of area. And what they do is they leave the vans in these spots, and you have to bring the vans back to these spots. You download the app for the company, okay, and you rent it. You pay for the vehicle, the nearest one to you, and you say how long you're getting it, whatever, right? Then you take photos before you even drive the car, and then what they do is they send you a code to the app, and then you put the code in on the dashboard that's inside the car because it literally remotely unlocks through the app. Okay. And then as soon as you get in there, you put the code into the dashboard, you take the card out so that it registers that you got the car, start it up, drive away, do what you need, bring it back to the exact same spot, put the key in, it'll reset the code or whatever because it's a random code every time. And then you literally take photos of the whole car, inside and out, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's similar to what we got here. That's similar to what we got here.
Right.
And
Yeah.
some people like it because I remember one of my neighbors I was talking to, and they said they've been doing this for quite some time. And later that day, I remember seeing this one couple. They were going to the beach. They were just going to the beach for that day, and they said, "Well, we don't have a car. We want to go down to the beach. We heard about this, so we're going to use this car for the day, going down to the beach." And I was just like, "Really? Just like that?" They're like, "Just like that." So I think what it is now with this new generation, they have an app for everything now. And they think because they have an app for everything, they know everything, and they don't.
Right.
And honestly, Peter, tell your daughter this: if it got seats to the steering wheel, she can drive it. That's how I learned. That's how I learned. I had a motor pool sergeant. I remember in the Army.
Bro, these kids are so entitled. Like, oh, it doesn't have AC. Okay, they saw it. I'm not getting in the car. Like, oh.
I ironically, I explained to my nieces and nephews, and even to my daughters, my two older daughters, I explained to them for a period of time where having an airbag was an option. Having power windows was an option.
Anyone can hear anyone, but I can't hear no one.
Yeah, it must be. Yeah, we're all good here. We're all
I can
good.
hear you.
So
We can hear you, Craig. So
he said he can't hear us. So maybe. Yeah. Good.
All right, he made me hear. He's like I have to come back in, but I was telling them all the things that are standard now were options back then: airbags, power windows, power locks, CD player. All the little things that you will find that are standard now were all options back then. And they looked at me like I was crazy. Like, no, seriously. But another thing that I don't know if you guys brought it up. I remember I was on Taurus. I was talking with Taurus on his show sometime back, and this is the one thing that he mentioned that a lot of people aren't realizing. A lot of manufacturers now, I think, because they've caught on to what people are doing, they're no longer building the basic standard models anymore. Remember, they always had like a basic standard that was an economy, something that was mid-range, and luxury. Now, because a lot of people were always buying the basic economy stuff without the frills, a lot of car manufacturers are getting rid of all of the basic manufacturer stuff. So now you either pay mid grade or luxury.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like mine's that like actually I fell under that. Like my model was the cruise model they called it, and the next one up it was limited. The limited didn't have much different bells and whistles, and I didn't really pay the difference because all the bells and whistles are the dumbasses in the back seat. I didn't give a shit about the dumbasses in the back seat. I cared about this fucker in the front seat who's driving, and it made more difference to me. So I didn't really care about paying extra 20 grand or 10 grand or whatever it was for the people in the back seat. If you're hot back there, so sucks to me and you. Very simple. So,
And Lunatic Libertarian brought up a very good point too about anytime you buy a car, make sure it's not on double check to make sure if it's on the recall list. Because if it's on the recall list, sometimes you will get a discount if you're buying it from a dealership or somewhere else. Plus, also, remote start too. I remember. One of the things that people don't realize is if there's a certain defectiveness on that vehicle you have, check to see if it's on the list. And if it's on the list, have that taken care of as soon as possible. Plus, also, some places will knock down a significant amount of money off the price because it's on the recall list too.
Gotcha.
And sometimes it could be something like the airbags or tire pressure gauge or remote start or anything else. Any little defect that your vehicle has. If it's on the recall list, you go to the nearest available dealership for that vehicle. They don't care if you didn't get that from that vehicle, just so that way they'll have it on record saying that they took care of that defect, of that issue for the vehicle. And people don't even realize that. And sometimes it's the little things.
There's
a company in the UK that's to do with disabled people. Sorry, Pierre.
That's fine. So
your volume went down again, dude. Sorry.
All right. So the other catch-22 is when you buy a used vehicle, it could be a lemon vehicle. So when it's a used vehicle, lemon law does not exist. Only lemon law exists if it's a brand new vehicle. I learned that the hard way.
So that's why it's always be mindful to make sure to pay for a car as is.
Mm-hmm. That's why.
Yeah, sure.
And that's
even you buying a vehicle, let's say it's only going to be like it was a return from a lease or something like that, and whatever is the lemon, because it's a used vehicle and it's a lemon, lemon law does not exist under the category, unfortunately. You get screwed on that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Now I looked out like my Pathfinder was a lease and the person returned it to the dealership. So I think they were asking for 15. I paid 12 for it, and I paid it off in I think it took me like 2.5, 3 years to pay it off. Right. I paid it off real quick just for the sake of getting out of the way. And the car ran very good because it was a lease. Because of the fact that the cars are leased, there are certain limitations of what you can and can't do. And I think the vehicle, I have to remember the Pathfinder had about maybe a little over 30 to 35,000 miles on it. So I still got a very good deal on it, and it lasted me longer than I expected. So I'm not complaining about that. Gotcha. And I think it's just a matter of the luck of the draw and doing your research. And I think that's the most important thing. Like this week, I'm going to be helping one of my nephews look for a car. He just called me up. I was like, "Hey, young, what are you doing this week? Next week?" I'm like, "Not really doing anything. What's up?" He's like, "Yo, I'm looking to buy a car. I got X amount of money, yada yada yada, so on and so forth. Do you mind helping me out?" I'm like, "Sure, no problem." So, I've spoken to him about it before he got his license, so he already knows what to look for and what to pay attention to. And I tell this to a lot of their friends as well. I tell this to a lot of my nieces and nephews, my kids, and I tell this to their friends. Listen, if y'all I think the problem with a lot of young people, they think they have it all together and they don't. And I tell them it doesn't hurt to ask questions. If you're not sure, if you don't know, you're not sure, you're not familiar, don't ever feel afraid to ask someone that's older because they might give you some information that you never even realized. So that's why I tell a lot of young people, get a car that was a lease. Those things have to be well maintained in order for the person to still have the lease on it. That's number one. Get a car that was a demonstration or a loaner car Those cars are well maintained simply because that's how they get individuals to buy those cars. Look for a car at a GSA auction because they're maintained for at least 5 years. Everything has to be kept on record. Plain and simple. Contact banks and other financial institutions. Ask for a list of cars that were repoed within the last 6 to 12 months, or even go as far back as 18 to 24 months. They'll take anything. If you give them a fair price, they'll take it just so to get it off their books. And most of the time, those are cars that are very well maintained as well. And because the person may feel so far back in their payments, you purchasing their car, it's not going to hurt you in any way, shape, or form. Right. And if you pay for it, and if you have the ability to pay it straight up, in a few days, you'll get the title to that car, and that car is yours. If you want to avoid a car note in any which way, and the way they're charging it now with the interest, your best bet is to get a very good used car. Anything that was leased, anything that was repoed, anything that was maintained for at least 5 years. And here in Jersey, if you get anything at least 5 years old, you don't have to worry about full coverage. That's the most important thing that I've told people here.
Yeah.
Get anything that's at least 5 years old. That way you don't have to work. All you have to pay is liability.
That's right. That's right. Eric is asking, yeah, I think Carfax is still around as far as a service, so you can certainly do your research on that. But I think it's a subscriptions fee or service that you have to purchase for that. So certainly that be there. But I know Lunatic also he put up a post. I was trying to repost it back. Something's happening to my screen right now. But he talked about how new cars have these telemetrics that are built into the car. So when you trying to get a quote for car insurance, they ask you how many commuter miles and whatnot. And I'm sure people fudge just to say just to keep because obviously the more miles you have, the more insurance to buy. So it's almost getting to a point now where you can't really fake it anymore, at least on a new car, because they can see what those metrics are, how much you're driving, and then adjust your insurance rate based on the amount of driving, get sort of the real numbers. So that's just another thing with a new car versus some of the older cars that don't have those telemetrics built into them. That again, you're kind of opening yourself up for exposure to other entities that may get your data, your information, whether you want it or not. And I think that even with like the Carfaxes and whatnot, I think a lot of these entities, and again, as long as someone has your VIN, you can get up the whole history or whatever, because every time you take it to a mechanic, unless he's like, again, a backyard guy who's not going to care to, you paying a guy cash and he's just going to just fix my car or whatever. But anywhere where they want to take your VIN information and whatnot, all of that is sort of part of the record. So again, if you go, certainly, outside of the grid, then yeah, you can avoid certain things. But certainly with the newer cars, everything is tied in, everything is integrated. They're all linked up to some satellite or some sort of system. So again, it's hard to kind of avoid some of those things. That's a good point that he's making, and it's certainly a case why you may want an older car that you fix up if you don't want information that you don't want shared.
Right. I remember Trevor's also said.
I'm sorry, and the new cars also, like mine, is a 23. It has built-in GPS, meaning if you try to not pay and just skip the state or whatever you're trying to do, hide a car, they're gonna find the car. They will come to your door.
Yep.
They're gonna be knocking with cops and everything. You're not hiding it. Like back in the day, okay, you missed a couple payments. You park in your buddy's garage, locked up away. You catch up. You figure something out. You negotiate with the bank, and you kind of work a deal, and your car gets nothing repo. Not anymore. They will find it. They will rip those doors down, and they will take the car. No question about it.
Another way also that people don't realize too, how if you run into a financial situation, they can just turn your car off. And it's just one big old paperweight. Like they'll literally cut it off. So you can get in the car, start it up, and it won't start. And then when you try to figure out why, guess what? You probably owe X amount of money, and because of that, you're not going to be able to use the car until you get that situation resolved.
That's funny. Now, you would hope. Now, again, that's not a bad feature. Let's say if your car is stolen, right? And again, what if you can just deactivate your car? It's like with your phone. If you could just deactivate your phone or call the companies, they just turn the phone. What if you can turn your car off, or like you said with the GPS, just find the car? So again, I think that there's some good that could certainly come from that, but again, for all of that additional security or for all that integration, it's almost like you're kind of giving up something too. You're giving up some of your privacy for the sake of security. But that's always the pitch that everybody kind of gives you. And where's the balance between your individual liberties versus Big Brother watching your every move or whatnot? And again, you're in a lot whatever at the shopping center. You can't start your car.
The GPS thing and kill switch of the car was meant for theft, to be honest with you. And it wasn't more for the repo. And it is a little bit for a repo too, but it was more for thefts because the thefts were getting higher and higher in cars.
Right.
So in the last few years, you don't really hear people stealing people's cars anymore as much because they know the car's hot wired. You're going to
honestly, you can't hotwire it, but now honestly, Peter, there is a way. And people don't realize, and I found this out from a friend of mine that's also a content creator. So I'm going to give him a shout out. I'm going to shoot a shout out to my man Max V, as a chat class of '94. One of the newer ways that they're figuring out ways on how to steal cars. What's the one thing newer cars have that older cars don't use?
Keyless.
Exactly.
Yes, I know. I'm just about to back you up on that one. I've actually seen videos in the UK of people actually stealing cars and literally using massive antennas to try and read the barcode. It doesn't matter if the key's next to the front door or literally three rooms over. They can still pick up the barcode or read the number ones and zeros from the card to pick it up to make a new card and stick it in the car to open it.
Yep.
Yeah, so they bypass the immobilizer, they bypass the alarm, all that sort of shit.
I've been out of the field for over 20 years. So when I was in it, and the keyless cars were first coming out, from my understanding, it was
exactly lunatic.
Very hard. But again, I've been out of that field for a long time. I haven't done any research on that. Again, I might be completely wrong on this.
So what's the next evolution? Because I know we talk about these RFIDs. What about the biometric keys? Is that becoming a thing? So either your thumb or your eye scan. What is?
They haven't said anything about that. But one of the things my friend Max told me that a lot of people are doing is you can actually get a key fob case that's RFID protected. You keep it in there, and that way no one can try to steal the signal from it. Sometimes what people are doing, they're wrapping their key fobs in aluminum foil too.
Like with my vehicle, personally, you need to get in my car. You need two things with you all the time: the key and my phone, because my key was going to kind of it hits the app on my phone, and then it swings back to the key. The downfall of this is the first 3 years is free, then you have to pay a membership for that.
Everything's coming with a price now.
It's not expensive. It's only $100 a year. It's not
expensive. But the thing that sucks is everything's coming with a price now. Like I've heard about some car manufacturers now where you can use your cell phone as a substitute of the key. Like you download the app, and I think you could download the app and you could use your key as your phone as a substitute for the key.
Mm-hmm.
And listen,
literally forgot my keys in my house. All right. And I was able to unlock my car with my phone, go where I need to go, come back and do everything, and my landlord was open the house. So because all to my phone.
Yeah. Lunatic librarian. He's been dropping. Yeah. Now I'm saying he's been dropping all kinds of info, like how this is done and whatnot. So I'm saying, is the next level then going to be again more sort of biometric data that's literally tied into your car, like even like with Kit, right? I think Kit was programmed to Michael, like only Michael could drive it, So again, is that going to be the next level where they're going to start using your biometric data, thumbprint, eye scan, retina scan, whatever it is? So in order to drive these vehicles now, if that's the next level, and if the RFIDs, if they're too easily hackable.
I think the next step.
Well, here's the thing.
Go ahead, Tom.
Say again.
I think
the thing about RF.
All right, who's going?
There might be a delay. All right, Anton, you go.
Okay. Now the thing is about the RFID, about people using the biometrics. The thing is this: it's only going to ask for one thing. and that's your right index finger because that's the one fingerprint that doesn't change over time. So the same fingerprint you have at 2, you're going to have at 92. The rest of your fingerprints change over time. This is the only one that's going to stay the same. And the closest to anyone that may have the same fingerprint as you is possibly an identical twin. But at the same time, there are ways to get around the keyless stuff and everything else. Unfortunately, like I said, because of where I grew up, I know some guys who allegedly used to joyride. And one of the things that they do is if they get into the vehicle and start the car and go, the one thing they don't do, they don't close the door completely. Because as long as you keep that door partially open, you can operate that vehicle and not worry about getting locked in and our car cutting off. That's the thing people don't realize as well.
Yeah.
And like I said,
Lunatic, he's already Lunatic is already putting the kibosh on that already. He's saying, hey, I can copy your retina and fingerprints. The only thing that got me thinking about that was, remember that movie Demolition Man? Where Wesley was trying to break out of the facility. They did the eye scan, right? And then you pull back, he took the guy's eye out and he used that. So I was like, maybe that's not a good idea. We're gonna start using, you're gonna see more crimes where people's eyeballs are getting popped out and whatnot and used to steal stuff.
But you know what, Paul, but everything people forget also in Demolition Man, if you paid attention, when Sly Stallone got out of the cryo prison, he was scratching his hand, they put a chip under his under the skin of I think it was left or his right hand. So everyone basically is coded per se.
Yeah.
So even if you need to get in and out, you have to like use your hand to tap and everything else. It's basically like the early version of the NFC technology. So it makes you wonder, are you going to find a way to connect that to people as well? Is your whole entire, like your hand or your finger or some way to be connected via NFC now is the question.
Yeah. Yeah. Was that Eric is saying just use the normal car keys? Well, that might be what was said. Like now, Lunatic, he's saying get an older car. You know, a 2000. I don't know when all this stuff started going into cars, but if you get like a 2004, 2008,
anything prior to 20. If I remember, Tarus said anything prior to 2020, you can still use a regular key. You can, and a lot of the stuff that you see in newer cars now, they weren't in cars prior to 2020. So if you get anything prior to 2020,
even with the key thing, like
you were saying?
Pop the key thing, you can pop the ignition, you just put a flat top and just go with the car. They're very easy to steal. People don't realize how easy it is. And like with with our digital keys, it's a lot more difficult. It's not possible. I'm not saying that. I know it's possible, but it's more difficult. So it prevents a little more. But with the regular keys, just pop the ignition and put a flat top in. You know, flat head in and click it.
I put a
flat screwdriver. Yep.
Up.
What was that?
I posted a link in the back if you want to pull it up.
Oh, what do you got here? Okay,
this is in the UK. Basically, what they're doing with keyless cars. They're not showing you exactly how it's done, but you can see on the Ring doorbell how it's happening.
Okay, let me see if I can pull this up.
Okay. Hey, Craig, you get a chance, send that link to me via Messenger. I want to check it out because I got to get back to work and everything else. But I wanted to come on to let you guys know, like, newer ways to get cars without having to feel like you have to break the bank.
Yeah, I think you certainly dropped some good nuggets, some good advices, and definitely. So again, car auctions, banks, certainly different services you can certainly use to certainly get vehicles. You don't necessarily have to go in and buy a new car off the lot, and so I think certainly a lot of young people, anybody really can quite use that. Because like I said, I can't see myself buying a new car anytime soon, but I would definitely look to a lot of those different services to use it. But let me see if I can share Craig's screenshot here, and I think it just keeps playing. But let me.
I just got it, so I'm about to go now. And also, one more thing before I go. If you want to know the importance of the vehicle, Kelly Blue Book.
See the person with the antenna?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's an antenna he's holding.
Yeah. Yeah. They're basically reading the RFID from the key, wherever it is in the house, so that they can steal the car.
Because they said don't leave your keys in the front of the house, like near the front door or anything else. Put it somewhere far back.
Do you know the best place to leave your keys? In a Faraday cage.
In a what cage?
Faraday cage.
What is that?
Really?
In other words, basically what it is a cage that's got all metal around it, like a bird's cage or whatever. And it can't receive signal and it can't bring a signal out, or a lead box,
It's
whatever.
it's an RFID blocker, basically.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Hang on, guys. Well, listen, we got someone who's coming up, and honestly, I've been looking forward to this for a while. He's certainly been plugged into our content for quite some time. Certainly always has information, always insightful, and certainly I appreciate him coming up for the first time, ladies and gentlemen. Lunatic Libertarian is joining our podcast today. Good evening, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good to see you. Good to see you.
I think I've seen you before a couple of times. What's going on, Sailor?
How you doing? I'm doing well. I'm doing pretty well.
Good to see you.
I actually have all my stuff out in my garage, like all my tools and stuff are like laid out in inventory and stuff. So when I talk about these things, it's like I really come from the perspective of turning wrenches. Like when you talk about lockout kits, like this is an actual lockout kit, for Asian or Chrysler, Dodge, Plymouth, and if I wanted to get in your vehicle, all I gotta do is pull out one of these keys, one or the other, and okay.
I've seen them. I really have.
This is a
I've seen those before.
For lockouts for people that are actually locked out of their vehicles, so you can show up and service them and get them back in their vehicles and get them on their way. So
there's a guy who does that when they've locked their keys in their car or they've lost their keys. He turns up in a van and he has like an entire key making machine in the back of his van, and he does it all from there.
Yeah, I know a couple guys who do that.
Yep.
That's not cheap stuff either. That software is very expensive, but if you actually have a key copier, that machine is very expensive. They're like $25,000. They are very expensive.
Well, that's one of the reasons my mum never actually locked her car, because she didn't want to pay the £80 for. She literally her car for about 10 years. For 10 years, stayed unlocked because she didn't want to pay for it to be locked. I tried to show her a way where she doesn't have to pay the £80. It takes 5 seconds to lock her entire car up. You open the driver's side window with the key in ignition. Okay, you shut the door. You lean in through the window. You push the lock button, which locks all the doors, even the boot. And you take the key out of the ignition. And because of the few second delay before the power cuts out, you can pull up the window thing and just get out the car. Done. The whole car's completely sealed.
That's true.
And all you've got to do is just put your key back into it and unlock it, and it unlocks everything. But she can't be bothered to do that, so she just leaves it unlocked all the time. The amount of times, right, I have been there, and people have walked in around where she lives and tried car doors. She's been robbed so many times and wonders why it happens. I'm like, Mum, why don't you just pay the £80 or do what I just showed you, so you don't get robbed? She's lost thousands of pounds from it happening.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Awesome. So Lunatic, I know you've been certainly following some time. Again, I really appreciate your insights. You're obviously seem like you're well read. You have a lot of practical experience with some things. So again, the fact that you do follow us on Sunday nights, I definitely appreciate it. But how'd you start just following our content? How'd you get connected with us? Or do you follow Black Men Unfiltered Network, or you just kind of found us on the stream? I'm just curious how you found us.
Well, I look for political streams, so my algorithm actually has me tied into the algorithm of many different genres of political, commentators. So it popped up on my live feed, and I have no problem listening to people of reason when it comes to politics or just life in general.
Right.
What I talk about a lot is, my personal experience as far as like trying to minimize what people's expenditures are by actually, if you have a child, you try and not have, the medical interventions that cost you a bunch of money. You don't pay for the pre-done products. You make your own baby food. You try and breastfeed.
Yeah.
Use reusable diapers so that you're not constantly buying diapers or contributing to waste, or however you want to look at it,
Yeah.
So, there are ways to do it that is not necessarily more convenient, but it is cheaper. It just depends on how you want, what work do you want to put in? Do you want to put in the work for a monetary return, or do you want to put the work in for an actual physical return? You know, it depends on the mentality that you have. So, but as a military veteran, you know, you get trained in boot camp to go out and perform. It's not a question of if you want to or not. You are going out to perform regardless of any want. So, you know, people just don't have that.
You will complete the task either way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Right. And did I hear correctly? You're a naval veteran, Navy veteran?
Yeah, Navy Seabees.
Awesome. I don't know, wait for Peter to come back. I don't know if we've had I don't know if we've interviewed a Navy veteran. We've done Army Special Forces. We've done a variety. Have we done naval yet, Pete?
Oh no, we have not actually. We need to get one of those guys up here.
Yeah, so Lunatic, we would love if you watch a lot of our content. Like I said, we're kind of all over the place. Now it's interesting. We are not a political show. In fact, we try our best to try to stay away from things, but obviously they say everything is political. But one of the things that we've also liked to do on the show, we'd like to interview certain people. We've interviewed a lot of military vets. We've interviewed, entertainers, so, comedians, guys who were in military who become stand-up comedians afterwards. So a lot of people who have the kind of post-military life. So again, if you're open, we would love to do an interview with you. You store your background, your life in the service, your life out. If you're willing to share, we'd love to have you on. We've never had a naval vet, and so certainly that is something we can schedule. If you have some time, we'd love to have you on.
Yeah, no problem. I mean,
I have a question for him.
Everybody, I mean, as far as being a Navy Seabee, it's a very small community, and I'm sorry that my friend up here, according to my screen, in the Army, but they say that the Army Civil Corps of Engineers fucks up. They said the Seabees comes.
I have a question for the Navy vet.
Oh my God.
I have a question for the Navy vet.
Sure, go ahead.
All right, sure.
What Navy do you think is the best? Yeah, because I've been told for many, many years that the UK used to have one of the best Navy in the entire globe. Yeah.
I have no idea. Because I was never on a ship. I have no idea.
There are literally the Navy in the UK are. Am I allowed to say the P word? Paul, Pete.
The what word?
The P word.
The P word.
It ends in Y.
I guess, yeah. Well, Peter
okay, I'm just gonna say it. If Peter wants to flaming kick my ass, he's more than welcome to. The UK Navy nowadays, right, from about 30, 40 years ago, they used to be the best Navy in the world. The UK used to have one of the best Navy on the water. Now they're a bunch of pussies.
You were just looking to get that off your chest. So I guess.
You have to understand one thing now. The military that we used to have has changed. I have a couple of my my best friend CQ. He was a engineer.
Bring your microphone closer to your mouth, bro.
I'm sorry.
Bring your mouth. Bring your microphone closer to your mouth.
Pause.
Listen.
Whoa, hold up.
Okay. Like get those terms out of your head. No, seriously, like people who go into service now during boot camp, they used to have a little script to say, I arrived safe, I'm okay, yada yada yada. Now they're having a full conversation like, hey, dude, I'm this guy here, I'm good, blah blah blah. I'm looking at him like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, these guys are lucky nowadays. It was a whole lot different 30 years ago. It was a whole lot different. You got 3 minutes, you already lost 2 of them.
I went through boot camp in
US
December of 01, so I mean 01 to 04 is when I served.
Nice.
And it's my boot camp experience was way different. It cost the Navy $5 to send me from Milwaukee to Illinois on a Greyhound bus, and I got there 12 hours before anybody else did. So I'm sitting there, and I had to go through chow by myself in civvies.
Oh wow!
And then I was awake all day, and then be awake all night for when everybody got off the buses and arrived and all that.
Shit.
Yeah, so
there's a reason why it's called Great Mistakes, huh?
Oh yeah, and it was cold as hell. December of 01, it was cold as hell. I think it was like -20. -20.
You know what it is? Libertarian. Here's the thing. I always hear stories about people who go to Great Mistakes in the wintertime. I've not yet to hear a story about someone who went in the spring or the summer. Why is that?
I don't know. I mean, my billet, my billet was very, very rare. So they told me you're either going to be an engineman or you're going to be or a CM. Pick one. You're going to boot camp in 10 days. So it was
There you go.
and I was like, you're not sticking me into the bow, the depths of a ship for my entire career where I never see the surface. So I was like, no, CBs are cool. I mean, you have the grooming standards of the Marine Corps, and then you have the tactical defensive that you learn from the Army. So, I mean, they call us the children of the military for a reason because, we dress like the Army with the BDUs, but we got a square cover or we got the rectangular cover, and then we got the, our sleeves are rolled up so that they're whites out, and then your grooming
like the Marines. Yep,
is that of the Marine Corps. So you high and tight and shaved, and they work your ass off. That's one thing. I remember when I got out of boot camp, I was like, oh, I'm in shape. Oh, hell no. When I went to the school, 3 miles in boots. Let's go.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Wow, that's fun. All right, folks, I gotta roll out. I gotta get back to work.
Hey, man, appreciate you joining on. We'll definitely see you on the future streams, on the Spartan streams and whatnot. But again, you always welcome here. Always got home. Appreciate you, brother.
Not a problem. Yo, Lunatic, we gotta swap some stories, man, for real. All right.
I got
all right, folks.
I'm sure you do too.
Oh, so do I. All right, folks. Y'all have a good one. Be safe.
All right, later. Good night. But yeah. So Lunatic. I mean, obviously, I know we talk about, like I said, a variety of. Ed's out. He's still. Just mute him real quick.
You want to boot him so he doesn't have to do it.
Yeah. Team's hung up.
But anyway, as I was saying,
go ahead,
the American Army and the UK Army was the US Army was one of the best. Still is one of the best army in this entire planet. The UK used to have the best navy, but as I said. If we put the two together,
Navy at one time too.
Pardon?
Greeks, you had a Navy at one time too.
But yeah, from what I've been told from other countries, from other people, from different whatever, even in America, right? The UK's Navy used to be the most feared people on the planet. Literally, one of the best Navy in the entire planet. Yeah? They used to literally be the most feared out on the open water. Now they're just nothing. I've had arguments with a guy quite recently, a UK guy, and he was in the UK Army, and he's like, oh, the UK Navy's there. I was like, no, it's bloody not, because it's dwindling. The Army's dwindling. They're all pussies, the whole lot of them.
Well, yeah? Is part of that dwindling just due to the... I mean, obviously, UK had a lot of territories and whatnot that it had to kind of protect and whatnot. And now that you've had a lot of nations that have spinned off.
Cam off, cigarette. Dude.
Oh, what was that?
The guy on the camera. What's his name?
Oh, libertarian. Oh, as far as smoking, yeah, I don't know if is smoking allowed on. No. I don't know. We've had a policy, but what's that?
They usually flag us for the smoke.
Flag us for the yeah. Okay, yeah. So we appreciate that if you could. And again, certainly, I'm just like I said. First of all, just glad that you came up. And if you could drop your email in the back chat, if you can, we can certainly reach out to you and try to schedule a time to certainly have you on the show. Certainly we can certainly put that show together. But yeah, I mean, certainly, again, we appreciate you following our content and like I said, but yeah, we didn't start out to be playing. In fact, when we came up with this show, they said we would steer away from politics and religion. I think typically the ones we try to stay away from. But again, certain conversations, I mean, even when you talk about things, when you talk about family, when you talk about culture and whatnot, politics ultimately kind of creeps into the conversation a lot of times. It's like you can't escape it. So we won't run away from it in that, but I never go to Peter and say, hey, let's talk about the elections coming up, or let's talk about something left wing. Like, we don't get into those kind of conversations, but if it goes that way, we try to we try to control a little bit. But even like when we talk about just different initiatives, technology, information, we were talking about AI and the data centers and whatnot. That's because those are political decisions. People allocate money and resources for those things, so you can't help those things spill into the conversation. But we typically don't try to.
Society is so integrated right now that everything is politicized. It
Exactly
doesn't matter what it is. So it's hard to get away from the politics of things because everything's political. It doesn't matter what it is,
Yeah.
And I really don't care what most people do in their lives. It's your decision making that
Right.
Because no one's a perfect person, in my opinion. There's no perfect reality for anybody. It doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter socioeconomic background, how you were brought up. It doesn't matter. It's pretty much in the decision-making process that you have for yourself.
Right.
I think a lot of people are taught nowadays to blame other people for their problems. Because
that is true.
Self-accountability is something that's not really prevalent anymore. It's always pointing fingers. So I think Michael Jackson had a great song when he said, the man in the mirror is the person that you got to look at if you're going to make a change. So, I tell people all the time, when I sat in the VA for months, I was like, I'm going to start looking at myself in the mirror instead of looking for everybody else to try and make changes for me. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just even in your handle, like you're a libertarian kind of in the classic sense. And I think we've talked about that on some of the shows. Like you're not necessarily affiliated with the Libertarian Party in the US or what have you, but just classic libertarianism, which I vibe with, especially in the 90s. When I kind of first started getting into a little bit and just kind of hearing it, it's like, yeah, it kind of, it kind of makes sense, individual liberty, free to do as long as your decisions don't impact other people. It just seems like a lot of those principles, I think a lot of people could really vibe with, but then, certainly the political arm, like the ones who actually try to do some things, I guess they kind of got pulled in one direction or the other. You either are left in or more right in or whatever. So again, and there was a lot of, certainly in the 24 election, I was following a little bit because I did that guy Amash. He was in Justin Amash. Yeah, like I follow him for some time. He would come on C-SPAN sometimes, and I'll watch some of his content. And I was like, this is a reasonable guy, but he got, I think the party got too much for him, and he was like, look, I'm kind of out, or there was some sort of infighting or whatever that kind of drove him out. So again, I don't really follow the actual party politic anymore. But I think just to have a conversation, just in terms of, I think really it's about values. I think what me and Peter, I think one thing we do talk about a lot, so it's just our values. And whether you want to, however you want to label that, I think it's even in our new intro theme right now. I don't necessarily like the labels of things. It's like there's certain values that I hold and I kind of stand by and I try to defend them. And let's have a reasonable conversation on what those values are versus whatever labels you want to put on things. And I think that's what's missing just in YouTube altogether. It's like the algorithm is sort of driving a lot of this discord. But it's like, look, we're individuals. It's like, from what I understand, you're a family guy. You got kids. You're growing a family. I have, adult daughters. Peter, he's kind of coming to a new family dynamic. Craig's got kids. So we're just dudes who are just trying to make the right decisions in life and share our experiences and maybe learn from each other. And that's really what the gray area is. No black and white or whatever. Let's just have some things. And if there's something I can learn from you and you from me, we're all better off. And I think those are just conversations that I think people in general get out of this tribalism thing. And let's just be adults and let's just have some conversation in a respectful fashion. I think that's all we've ever wanted to do. And like I said, we're in our third season of doing this, and it's just something we just enjoy doing. And the great thing about Peter is, like I said, I've been able to meet him personally. Like we spend time together. Like every year we get together. We go to Comic-Con in New York City together every year, and so again, I get to know the person personally, and I think that's really one of the nice things about social media, when you're actually able to not only meet people, talk to them personally, get a chance to meet, break bread. Anton is in New Jersey, so again, I got to have lunch with him, and that's what we're trying to do here. We're just trying to environment where people can, express themselves and have it. So that's really the basis of our show. But
I think one of the first comments I actually made in the chat was labels, titles, and categories is something that people need to get around when they're interacting with people in society. Most people don't really care about everybody's labels, titles, and categories. They just wanted to know, are you going to use their goods and services or not? Because they're moving on, because they're trying to move on to the next. And I think that commonality is not something that people want to have anymore. Everybody is trying to outdo somebody else. And be more grandiose than the next. I think society's become very narcissistic. But yet again, when you break down to people like, if you say, oh yeah, well, my name is Justin, I'm a veteran who's also a felon, that's a master diesel technician, welder, tradesman, family man, then it starts to put these pictures in people's minds. And I tell people it depends on how your mind is programmed, how your mind will play the word game. And yet again, there's so many dynamics in society as far as your social economic background, religion, your neighborhood, your culture, whatever, how you want to break it down, that there's so much separation that people want to have instead of the integration that Americans really enjoy. Because I can walk down the street in a metropolitan area, and if I want Jamaican food, Indian food, Taiwanese, it doesn't matter. I can go get whatever I want because culture is all around me. And it just depends on what culture I want to interact with.
Exactly.
Now people are stating that you're insulting them by having cultural interaction. And that's actually just the most ridiculous thing that I ever heard.
It is.
Especially growing up in, the late 80s and early 90s as far as my introduction to the world, And when we're talking about third parties, when you're talking about the mid 90s, you had Ross Perot, who gave one of probably the greatest, 40 minutes on television telling you how economics actually work.
And
it's kind of crazy if you go back and watch that. The numbers that he's talking about are absolutely like that's like the military budget for the next year times 50. You know what I mean? It's insane the type of money that's being spent by our government. But social programs are good. I think that when they're solving problems, if they're not solving problems, then fraud, waste, and abuse is something that you got to worry about. And corruption is probably the biggest thing that we have to deal with. And I think people are so much integrated in the two-party system. And, if I make this much money, I'm supposed to act this way. If I'm this skin tone, I'm supposed to act this way. And it's just, it's the United States, you can act however you want. It doesn't matter what somebody else perceives of you. That's just their interpretation of what they're seeing. It has nothing to do with a basis of who they know, They're just creating something in their mind from what they see and what they've been programmed with.
Gotcha. Pete, I got a follow-up question for him, but Pete, did you have a question for Lunatic?
No, one more statement. So a little more background on how we started this. When I went to a poll, is like I got sick and tired of titles, like black, whatever, you know what I'm saying? So I want to break those walls. That's the point of the gray area. To break these walls down, so we don't have titles. I remember, like you said, 80s, late 80s or 90s, we didn't have these titles anymore. We all were hanging out. Blacks hang out with the Greeks, Spanish, whatever. And all of a sudden, the last couple of years, we went backwards like 20, 30 years. Like we're back at trying to kill each other for no reason. I don't get it. I really don't get it. I can't process it. Maybe I'm the stupid one. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. I can process it.
I have a theory on it. I mean,
go ahead.
Okay, so if you look at what happened after 9/11, all security, as far as the mindset was transferred, okay, well, united we stand. As long as the government is providing all this extra security that we need Department of Homeland Security, we need the TSA, we need travel restrictions, we need all this extra surveillance, we need, the Patriot Act for wiretapping and all this, And I think people, they just were scared. I think people got scared. And if you go all the way up to 2001, right? And then you can start seeing the shift in how people started acting. we weren't at war. We were done with Iraq. 1992, we were done. So we didn't have war for how many years? There was incursions and little conflicts, but it wasn't like, oh, well, now we're in a 20-year war with Iraq and Afghanistan, and you can see the detriment that it's had on society. All the extra spending. Now the value of the dollar isn't as much. People don't have work. There's homeless veterans. There's problems with all this, mental health and post-traumatic stress. And I think that when we gave the control to the government to raise our children all day long, from the time that we get up to the time that they get out of school, but then there's aftercare, daycare, whatever they got to do while the parent is still working, because those schedules don't align for some reason, because, well, if you got to work this time, well, the schedule for your children is this time. Why doesn't that mesh? I don't understand why society hasn't figured that out. But, there's ways that if you want to participate in it, there's ways that you can circumvent certain ways that society operates. But yet again, you have to have the skill sets and the training. If you grow up in, the inner city, you got to have the training of the streets to understand how the streets operate, right? You got to have the training of how school operates, right? You're not trained on how to operate within the systems of business, finance, money. It's just whatever allows your survival from day-to-day operations. And I think that people have gotten away from, taking advantage of the capitalistic society that was built so that you can bring yourself up so that you can help other people. Because I think that we've forgotten that people are so charitable, even though we have all these, these extra programs. People are funded through GoFundMes and, group funding all the time. Mm-hmm. Whether you agree with what's being group funded or not, that happens every single day. There's so much charity.
There's avenues and resources. Yeah.
Correct. It doesn't have to go through the government.
Right.
Gotcha. And we've lost community. One of the people that I talk to and interact with is, running for governor of New York. His name is Larry Sharp, but he's.
Yeah, I've heard several interviews with him. Yeah.
Yeah, he talks about community all the time. We've lost community. To be able to have your base family, your extended family, your community family, there, and then there's all this manipulation of our trust factors. Oh, you can't trust your uncles. You can't trust your neighbors. They're all trying to take your kids. They're all trying to do this to your kids. They're all trying to do this to your family. And then people it gets romanticized, and then you see it happen over and over and over and over and over again. Because that's what sells, and that's what sells advertising for television. It's just ridiculous.
Right.
So much on the negative.
Yeah, you mentioned on the community, because what I've also noticed, like, it didn't change when people moved, like, for example, from urban centers to suburban ones. Like that idea of suburbia, right? You're riding your bike through the neighborhood and whatnot, and everybody knew whatever. I lived pretty close to some very kind of posh neighborhoods or communities with nice homes and all that, but it seems like even then people separated from each other. You know what I mean? Because you built, like, you would have, like, the community park, right? Everybody would kind of play there, right? And they would build these kind of areas that nobody uses, but everybody was putting their own private pool, their own private jungle gym and play set in the backyard of their homes. But it's like everything, even though you're in this neighborhood where everybody's on this higher socioeconomic class. So it's like the idea of don't even trust your neighbors. It wasn't just lost on being in an inner city or urban environment where you think there might be a danger to certain people. Even in the suburbs, there's no sense of community there either. It's just everybody has their own individual palaces and nobody knows each other.
I think,
Paul, you're just too modest to say that you're posh.
Well, if we look at what happened in the community from I always look at trying to get to the origin of the issue. So I always go back. We got to go back to the 1700s to figure out how communities were destroyed or lost, depending on what, verbiage you want to use. And then, how policies changed, and then enforcement was. And then, once we get into the 50s and 60s, what the streets were versus, what the country was. we have to look at why policies it's always for a security factor, but then in the end it's always tyrannical, right?
Yeah.
In today's day and age, I'm a big proponent of mutual combat. So if a mutual combat state like Texas is, if there's a disagreement and two people agree, there could be a policy enforcer or a police officer right there. If you agree in mutual combat, as soon as the first person hits the ground, it's over with. Whatever, you know what I mean? Anything after that is then illegal as far as if you want to get more violent, pull out a weapon, whatever.
Right.
But if more people have mutual combat instead of, well, I got to pull out a gun because now it's always instantly that it's going to be retribution until there's no more players, and then it gets romanticized.
Yeah.
We had the Chirac Wars of 2015 that was all started because of drill music, and then you find out that there's certain organizations that are implementing certain kind of situations so that gets more prominent. And I've done a lot of digging on a lot of rabbit holes. So, I mean, I always try and trace stories back to their origin. I don't try and just say, well, Trump sucks and, this era was better. And I don't try and do that. I try and always go back to the origin.
Gotcha, man. Well, like I said, I think we're coming up certainly on the end of the show. So again, I'm going to just start to land the plane, have some final thoughts. Again, Craig, I just want to say thank you. We kid a lot, but I really appreciate all you do for us. Certainly on the Spartan HQ Network, monitoring the back, always having our backs, on the show. So really appreciate you being here. And it's late for you. What time is it now in the UK? It's like 4 in the morning. I mean, what?
It's nearly 4:30 in the morning.
Gosh, I don't see how you do it.
I'm an insomniac. I'm an insomniac, dude.
Well, that's not good. But you find a way to always, regardless of whenever we go up, you're always following us. So again, I appreciate you always, the support that you give us. Certainly, Lunatic again.
Channels back, you know that.
Yeah, definitely. Lunatic. Do you prefer Lunatic or Librarian or Lunatic? I don't know what else.
Everybody says Librarian, but I mean, I'm the Lunatic Libertarian.
Libertarian. Yeah. So again, I really appreciate again ever since you've been on. Like I said, whether we agree with your comment or not, like I said, everything you do is like well thought out. You have a background. You have practical in everything that you do, and I think that just adds value to what we're doing. And and to the point that again, we may not be again as well read as, like I said, this is a conversation based with me and Peter based on what we know. But you certainly any of the contributions that you made to our channel as far as information, fact checking us, and all those things, like I said, is greatly appreciated. And certainly I will look forward to if we can have you up for an interview. I got your email. Thanks for sending that, Peter. I'll share that with you as well. And hopefully we can set up some time to have you on. It'll be like the whole show, just you, your background, your story, and just how you develop again your ideology or just your philosophy on life and how you raise family and whatnot. Certainly I would love, and I think our audience certainly would love hearing more about you. You just from hearing from you now, I mean, you need to have your own. Are you thinking about your own podcast? Do you have a podcast? Are you thinking about?
You guys can go check out my channel. It's called The Lunatic Libertarian. I've interviewed politicians.
Do you want to put it in the back so they can?
Yeah, definitely put that in the back chat as well. We'll definitely hype it up and we'll certainly promote it. We'd love to have no problem promoting your channel as well. So definitely put that in the chat, and on future shows when you're up, we'll definitely give you a plug anytime.
Yeah, and I think one thing that we need to do is listen to each other's stories instead of making assumptions. And,
Amen. Amen, and praise the Lord.
If you ever want to check out my channel's in the back, dude.
We got you as well.
We all have stories, and there's more nuance with people, I believe, than there is this giant gap. I think put out another political podcast, and because of jumping on through the comments to he sent the StreamYard, and it was you have more context when you see somebody's face and their demeanor versus just comments on a screen. Because,
absolutely.
People disregard information all the time. So I really appreciate you guys having me on.
Definitely. Pete, I'll give you the last word.
Well, tonight was an interesting night. Things are going to change. simple as that. It's up to you how you want to change it. We're going to change it for the good. Buckle up, enjoy the ride, because things are going to change.
There you go. There you go. And again, Lunatic got your link, so we'll look that up. And again, future shows when you're on, we'll promote it for you. And then we'll set up that interview. But certainly want to thank you guys. Certainly, again, we can't tell you we appreciate how you guys, Sunday after Sunday, you guys find time with us. We understand work schedules and whatnot. So for the folks who come on, the loyal followers who support us on the network, we certainly appreciate you guys coming up and being part of the conversation. Again, it's like Hall Show. So 3 weeks from now or 4 weeks from now, we'll have another call-in show. We're going to do, again, a variety of different topics that certainly we can certainly we can have a conversation on, and certainly looking forward to that interaction. So certainly for myself, Mr. Bennett, and he is the Ghost of Sparta, aka Peter, aka Panayotis. This is the Gray Area on the Black Man Unfiltered Network, simulcasting on the Sparta HQ Network. So make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to both channels, and certainly we look forward to future content, certainly in these spaces. So until next time, take care. God bless. We see you next week. Good night.
I thought Pitt was going to poke him.